I'm Dane.
I'm Jackie.
And if you're wondering why I look like an overly patriotic grandfather and she looks fabulous, it's because we are going to be doing a season 2 post-show recap of each episode of Agent Carter.
Starting next week when it premieres on ABC on Tuesdays.
Yes. So to get you and us and everyone else in the world ready for it, we have decided to do a little bit of a recap of season 1.
Because it was so long ago.
It was so long ago. It was too long ago.
How did we get to Agent Carter as a series, Dane?
That's a very good question, and I sort of have an answer for you. Before this wonderful trend of comic book movies existed, there was an attempt at making an awesome movie that Marvel still had the rights to, with the character Iron Man, which was a great movie. If you don't remember, Robert Downey Jr. is Tony Stark.
he just is. He's not portraying Tony Stark. He is.
Yes. They made a movie, and it was really great, and it was good for all of the right reasons. And then on a whim, one of the creators decided, as a little treat for the comic book fans and kind of as a little test thing they were going to do, they decided to put Nick Fury, played by Samuel L. Jackson, who they actually based the ultimate version of the character on when they originally created it, in the post-credit scene to Iron Man. So it was Nick Fury playing Nick Fury as Nick Fury.
And of course, comic book fans
lost their minds
and being the overzealous, wonderful nerd fans that they are, took that little tiny Easter egg and ran with it.
But it wasn't ever just meant to be a little Easter egg, because he was like, I'm here to talk to you about the Avengers. And thus it was like them basically admitting, this is what we're going to be doing for you over the next 20 years. Oh my God.
Bring it. I'm so ready.
So ready. So every movie that Marvel made after that had a little teeny piece of connecting all of the movies and characters together to when they would eventually come together as the Avengers, which was in 2012, and it was amazing. But one of those movies was Captain America. And Captain America was a great movie starring Chris Evans and Sebastian Stan and Haley Atwell, who played a previously only background character in the comics for the most part, whose name was Peggy Carter. In the movie, she is one of the military people that starts up the SSR,
Strategic Scientific Reserve.
There we go, Strategic Scientific Reserve, where they were going to create a super soldier and we're going to win the war for America and beat up the Nazis.
The Allies.
Yay, for the
Punch
Allies.
Hitler.
Punch Hitler in the face.
Defeat Red Skull.
So she, like a lot of the other supporting role Marvel characters, became this overnight cult sensation favorite. She was a model for feminism and girl power and great writing.
Because in the 40s, also in a lot of comic book movies in the past, women have not been given the credit they are due.
No, they're just either the love interest or the mom.
They're mostly just a prop.
They're just a prop.
Yeah.
But she was definitely not a prop, because they had a lot of really good scenes to prove to you that she was a great character, and then eventually developed into the most heartbreaking love story that I've had to see in a comic book movie. So Peggy Carter was an agent of the SSR, so Agent Carter became this really awesome favorite character that they decided they were going to just try and incorporate into many different things, and that was one of the television shows that was going to connect all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe characters together. So now you don't just have the movies, but you also have TV shows and Netflix series and even mid-season replacement shows that took off and became extremely popular because Agent Carter got her own show. Season 1 was 8 episodes long, and it was going to be, this is what you're going to watch between the holiday break of the first season or second season?
It was just this last season of
second
S.H.I.E.L.D.
season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
But then they did it really, really well, and it was super awesome.
And it got a second season
Thank God.
Hallelujah. She's such a great character. She is great for all the right reasons, and she has the potential to, be around for everything, because even though she was alive in the 40s, they've still found ways to incorporate her in all these films that take place after the year 2000.
She's like 150 years old.
And she's still in the Marvel movies.
She's still there.
The general idea was to have a series that was, because nothing's going to happen in it that is going to change the movies as they are now, but it's giving you lots of really great backstory and doing all of those extra side Marvel things,
right,
and giving you even more of the larger Marvel cinematic universe that you wouldn't have previously gotten.
And possibly even more importantly, at least personally to me, it is proof that Marvel can write a decent female character, can write a really damn good female character. They are capable of it. So it's just showing audiences that you can be invested in a woman as a hero.
Goodness. Like, there's no sidekick aspect, love interest aspect, even though she is the love interest of Captain America.
But he's not there
She has her own show. It's doing very well. Everybody is excited about it. And it is proof that it doesn't have to be just like the main four comic book superhero Avengers that everyone remembers from like 70 years ago.
That get all the toys.
Not
better. It's cool.
Hashtag where's Black Widow, hashtag where's Gamora, hashtag where's Rey.
Seriously, Disney. Where they at?
Even though it's only 8 episodes long, a lot of stuff happens in the first season of Agent Carter. So I'll kind of let you go through, I'll take over the helm of that.
Yes. So much happens in season 1, but they just pack all of these events into each and every one of the 8 episodes.
The year 1946, the place, New York City. Meet our heroine, Peggy Carter. We begin our story in the wake of tragedy. Peggy's beloved beau, Steve Rogers, has perished. Steve, also known as Captain America to the rest of the world, selflessly sacrificed himself to save the lives of thousands of innocent civilians.
I think that's about as much as I can keep up that accent. What happens to Howard Stark?
Howard Stark wanted for treason.
He claims that all of his most dangerous weapons were stolen out of his top secret vault. But the government is accusing him of selling these weapons to the enemy.
Scandal.
It's been a year since Captain America has died, and Peggy is now working in New York for the Scientific Strategic Reserve, or whatever the SSR is. They are way underutilizing her, as she is mostly just fetching lunch orders and filing and taking phone calls. But everything changes when Howard Stark comes to her in secret with a clandestine mission. Howard asks her to prove his innocence and clear his name, and prove that someone else stole all of his weapons. So Peggy reluctantly agrees, and with the help of Stark's very loyal butler, Edwin Jarvis, begins her own super secret investigation. Upon investigating, Peggy finds one of the bombs stolen out of Howard's super secret vault, and she does defuse it, but not before her roommate is mistakenly killed in her place. Sadness. That leads her to Roxxon Chemicals.
Another Marvel reference.
I'm sure Dane will tell you all about it another day.
Well, yes.
And that's where she finds a whole truck full of bombs.
Oh, no.
She also finds one of the operatives trying to steal all the weapons on board. Truck explodes, and the mysterious suspect with the trach and the little, the little vocal machine thing.
That you use to speak.
The thing. The suspect tells her that Leviathan is coming. Leviathan is actually responsible for everything that is happening.
Oh no, more organizations named after mythical creatures.
Basically. So Peggy's investigation on Leviathan leads her to where the weapons are actually being stored. She calls it in secret. Technically, Jarvis does, actually. So they call it in, let the SSR find all the weapons. Yay, everything is saved, except it's not, because one of the agents is killed.
No.
Poor Krasinski. He was kind of a dick, but he didn't deserve to die.
No.
That weighs very heavily on Peggy when Howard Stark comes back into town. Little good-for-nothing womanizer, but damn if it isn't like her brother. And she'll still do anything for the son of a bitch.
I mean, when you're Dominic Cooper, I would do anything for Dominic Cooper.
Howard tells Peggy, man, that's great, that's super awesome that you found all those weapons. I need you to steal one back. So Peggy goes and steals this mysterious thing that Howard has told her is a weapon that will create a blackout through all of New York City. But Peggy has this feeling that maybe Howard's not telling the whole truth, and turns out... What?
A Stark?
Lie?
Withholding secrets?
Say it ain't so!
Oh my goodness.
So there's actually a vial of Steve Rogers' blood, Captain America's blood, in this thing. Peggy is livid that Howard lied to her, but of course he had to, didn't he? Not really.
No,
there was no
not.
reason
Honestly,
he shouldn't have lied to Howard. That's a terrible idea. Why? Back at the SSR, the agents get a lead on where a sale of Stark's weapons might be. And maybe Stark is there as well, because as far as they know, he's treasonous and he is the villain and he is terrible and must be stopped. So this leads them to Russia. Peggy talks her way into the mission by promising them the Howling Commandos.
Yes, the Howling Commandos! If you're not familiar, the Howling Commandos was the group of soldiers that Captain America, assembled originally back during World War II.
The first Avenger assembled.
The first Avenger assembling a group of soldiers when he was trying to defeat Hydra, which, again, very brief description, was the SSR but for Nazi Germany, and then it broke off and became its own evil terrorist organization.
Right.
But he assembled basically his group of best buddies that he rescued from Hydra, and they became this really badass team of specialists in lots of different fields that could get the job done.
So they go to Russia.
Yes.
All of them. Peggy and one of the other kind of douchey agents, Jack Thompson.
And the Howling Commandos.
And the Howling Commandos go to Russia. And they find what we later find out is the beginnings of the Black Widow program. But to them, all they see is this really creepy, kind of abandoned boarding school / training camp for deadly female assassins. They actually encounter one of the little girls who kills one of their agents. Sadly, they find none of the weapons. No Stark. But all is not lost.
Yes.
Because they do find a Dr. Ivanko who is being held prisoner by Leviathan. And so they decide to take him back to the SSR, to the US, with them, and hopefully he can help them crack the case and find Leviathan and find who's really responsible for everything. But there is trouble still for Peggy. Because Sousa, another one of the agents at the SSR, has been following up on this lead in the case. There was a mysterious blonde that they got a picture of at the club the night that one of their suspects was killed. So he has finally figured out that their mysterious blonde is actually Peggy. So while Sousa is figuring this out, Peggy has a hunch that her captain tells her to follow up on. See, Peggy figures out that one of these women from this training camp must have been the operative who led to the theft of Howard Stark's weapons from his vault. Because ladies' man that he is,
he would not have said no to a lady.
Would have done everything to try to impress her.
Hey, awesome pretty lady who is weirdly interested in what I do. Look at my super secret vault of deadly weapons that I probably shouldn't show you or anyone else.
Isn't it super awesome and you're totally not gonna do anything nefarious with this information now? Let's bang! That's probably how that went.
That's probably
exactly how that went.
Very close to how that went.
So Sousa has figured it out and sends agents after Peggy. But of course, men always underestimate the woman. She escapes just long enough to collect the vial of Steve's blood, to encounter her roommate, who she has to explain a whole lot of things about later. But her awesome roommate Angie lies for her because she's fantastic, and I love Angie so much. And she discovers that another one of her roommates in this hotel/boarding house for professional women, not that kind of professional. So Dottie, her roommate down the hall, is actually this woman that they have been searching for the whole time. And that is when Peggy is captured. While in custody, Peggy discovers that this mysterious doctor person they brought back from Russia isn't really who he says he is. He is actually an operative for Leviathan. But no one believes her because she's a woman and now she's also a suspect. So why should they believe her? But they really believe her when this mind-controlling doctor convinces the chief to basically blow himself up. Whoops.
I mean, that'll do it.
Yeah, that'll do it. He blows up. Also, in the meantime, Jarvis came with a fake confession from Howard Stark. Good on you, Jarvis, but that's not really going to work. That's not going to help because Howard's not going to be there. Except Howard shows up. And so they use Howard as bait for the real villains, the Doctor and Dottie, this crazy assassin. So while making this grand speech in front of City Hall, he gets kidnapped. What? Who would have expected bait to get kidnapped? Basically, his kidnapping leads us to an airplane hangar, his other secret vault. Stark's other secret vault. Leviathan's ultimate plan was actually to set Howard Stark up for the death of thousands or more innocent lives in New York City. So they put him in a plane with this chemical agent, one of his own weapons that was stolen. It sort of makes people go crazy and kill each other. We have a heart-wrenching scene where Jarvis is in another plane ready to shoot down Howard Stark, whom he is very loyal to. Peggy finally snaps him out of it, and he turns the plane around just in time, seconds away from being shot down. The Doctor has been captured, and Dottie gets away. Howard Stark's weapons have been returned. His name has been cleared. So all is well, until the very last scene, where the Doctor gets put into a room with none other than, if you have been following the MCU, Arnim Zola. Remember that guy?
I do remember that guy. He's in both Captain America, the First Avenger, the movie, and in The Winter Soldier. He is the scientist that helped the Red Skull, who is the main villain of the first Captain America movie, kind of develop the Hydra technology using the Tesseract, which is another plot device that Marvel loves to throw around all the time. So he eventually...
The MacGuffin Cube.
He's the MacGuffin Cube. It is the MacGuffin Cube. There's so many of those. That's literally, we're building an entire universe around
and the
five...
MacGuffin gems.
Yes, we're building an entire universe around 5 MacGuffin gems. Arnim Zola is the scientist that helps develop the Hydra technology. He gets captured towards the end of the Captain America movie and sort of like is then from that point on assumed to be in S.H.I.E.L.D.'s custody, or the SSR's custody. Arnim Zola in The Winter Soldier, after all this time presumably being in the SSR's custody, you find out that in this movie, which is present day, that like he found a way, which again is very, very Marvel and very comic book, to preserve his consciousness in a room full of like the most 70s looking computers you've ever seen, because that's the technology they had back then. So in the movie, he's in the consciousness of all of these computers that develops the program that is gonna be the main plot point of The Winter Soldier, where they're gonna like preemptively kill all of the people that could possibly make trouble, and then Hydra will take over and rule everything. But at the very end, he basically gets blown up because they're trying to kill Captain America.
So that's who our crazy mind control doctor gets put in a cell with. No good can come of that. So that's our potential setup for season 2. We'll see if that's what it picks up with. We don't know because season 2, they're supposed to be in Hollywood for some reason.
Aside from that villain, like, thing at the end, are there any other cliffhangers that they leave us on?
No, that's kind of the big thing.
That's kind of the big thing?
I guess whether or not she'll ever get the respect she deserves.
In your opinion, do you feel like that her the other character's perception of Agent Carter is at least pushed in the positive direction?
Only for a select very, very, very few of her fellow agents.
Which I
Thompson
feel,
and Sousa. And like, that's it.
Well, I feel like that also has to do with the fact that she was also, not only was she starting off as this, like, you know, typical woman in the workplace, mistreated person, but then she became a suspect in a bunch of murders and like espionage cases. So when your season has to end with your name being cleared, you're sort of back at square one.
Well, actually, so a couple of things about this. One, Sousa was always on her side. He always wanted her to do more, to get more respect. There's a scene in one of the first episodes where the other agents are making fun of Peggy, and Sousa stands up for her, even though Peggy, after the rest of them have left, said, I appreciate it, but don't do that again. I can take it. I can stand up for myself. So Sousa is always on her side, and he's actually the one who finds out that she is a suspect, that she is the suspect that they have been looking for.
And doesn't he like make the call to like go and like find her and like, bring her in?
And it breaks his heart to do it. The other agents joke around with him about him carrying a torch for Peggy. You were asking about if anyone else in the office now sees Peggy in a more positive light.
Right.
So a couple of things. After she talks down Howard, after everything is sort of settled back down, she walks into the office and she gets a standing ovation. She gets a whole round of applause from the entire office, full of men.
Well-deserved.
A very well-deserved.
It's a very
one.
like Mulan moment where all of China is now bowing to her for saving the day.
But that lasts like 2.3 seconds because immediately some senator or congressman or whatever, some politician walks into the office and goes straight to Thompson and says, we need more men like this guy. This guy is super awesome. Let's talk about this guy. Who's that? I don't care. This guy.
Yeah, that's another thing. I'm like, obviously I wasn't expecting that like it was going to be one of those like Disney movies where it's like by the end of the season everyone is super okay with women and everyone's empowered.
Everything is super
and everything
awesome.
is great and she's treated as an equal. I'm like, it's still the 40s. There's still a long way to go. There's still social conventions that even the Marvel Universe can't fix.
So maybe she has proven herself to the people immediately around her, but she's still not going to be seen any differently.
I feel like the first season was really all about introducing all of the individual characters and then exploring their interpersonal relationships.
Yeah.
Because obviously she's one of the founders of the SSR and S.H.I.E.L.D. and eventually, if you go by Ant-Man, another recent Marvel Cinematic Universe movie, she is one of the heads of S.H.I.E.L.D. And it's like Howard and her and Hank Pym. So you'd have to imagine that over like the next 30 years, she's like kind of like gaining prominence and rising in the respect and power and...
But also social ideas and ideals
are changing. So I feel like in this one, it's really about developing her relationship with Howard and Jarvis and
the agents in her office.
And all of the agents in her office. Yeah. So now that they're sort of all on the same page, they can continue developing the SSR or turning it into S.H.I.E.L.D. So you can take all of these already established characters and scenarios and everything, and you can take them in really interesting directions, and you won't be like, it's not all brand new. It's not all surprise. It's not like it's just like every show. Everyone always says, oh, you have to get through the first season. You have to get through the first season. You have to get through the first season. I did not feel that way about Agent Carter because it was a really great show.
It was a great first season.
From day one. I'm excited because, again, it's a way for them to like throw in all of these really cool Marvel Easter eggs and take
like
care.
The Black Widow program.
Like the Black Widow program, and like Roxxon, which is a famous company in Marvel for doing bad things. And, and
of course, headed by Ray Wise in Agent Carter.
Right.
Who's such a good, like, charismatic bad guy.
Yeah.
Here are a couple things that I am looking forward to, me personally,
Right.
in season 2. More costumes.
More. Oh my gosh, everything she wears looks fantastic.
It's fantastic.
Everything.
Whoever their costume designer is, I really should have looked it up.
So great.
But their costume designer is great. Everything is period accurate. I saw one article somewhere on the internet, so it must be true, where the costumer explains how Peggy wears a lot of red, white, and blue, sort of in tribute to Cap.
The first time you see her, she's wearing basically this outfit where it's blue and then the red hat, and she's walking, and it's just it's so great.
And
it's very powerful imagery. Like the costumes used in the imagery to create the whole, believable like 1940s era universe.
Also, men in suits. Always
men in suits.
Also, looking forward to watching her kick more ass. Because Peggy can fight.
She's great at hand-to-hand combat. She is like the sharpest sharpshooter to ever sharpshoot. And
she is not like super well trained like Dottie, like anyone else in the Black Widow program, but she uses what is around her, and she is smart.
She's a scrapper. She's not using martial arts. She's beating your ass with whatever she can get her hands on, and she's good at it.
The way Haley Atwell described it was that she just beats men with blunt objects until they fall down. And that's kind of
so far it has proven very effective.
Super effective.
I mean,
her and Jarvis have like the most English bromance.
Right, and
that's glorious.
That's that's another thing. Like if we're talking about writing that's groundbreaking and like, female empowerment and like, all that stuff. You got Jarvis being kind of like the male lead, and and
Howard comes and goes.
And Peggy Carter being the female lead, and they're not.
There's no romance.
There's no romance.
That.
It's like a buddy cop thing, but in the 40s and British. Like it's.
And someone might say that it's because Jarvis is married that there's no romance, but I don't care. There's no romance. It's 1940s buddy cop.
Obviously,
one of them just happens to be a female.
Right.
Also, I'd be okay with Howard kind of coming and going every once in a while.
I would be okay with Dominic Cooper coming and going whenever he wants to. Let's just go ahead and put that out there.
Phrasing.
I said what I meant, and I meant what I said.
They're not quite a bromance. They're more like brother and sister, where they hate each other, but they love each other. But they hate each other, but they really do care about each other. I don't want to see them get together. You know who I want to see more of? Angie. The actress, roommate, waitress who who lied for her, who is just like
the everyman character who's just along for the ride, sort of.
She's like,
thing.
I knew you didn't work for the phone company. You have federal agents after you. It's cool.
Which is another example of how Marvel takes side characters and turns them into people that you care about.
I want to see more Angie. I do.
Supporting roles must be really what you vie for in a Marvel movie. It's like, do you want to star in Captain America? Only if I get to be one of the side characters that they fall in love with.
So there's a lot to look forward to in season 2.
Of course, yes.
I'm excited for it.
I'm looking forward to the new season. So that means next week, when Agent Carter season 2 starts up, it airs on Tuesday nights at, I don't know
8
what
or
time.
9.
Tuesday night prime time.
I don't work for ABC.
On ABC is when Agent Carter. So we will try to watch it either together or immediately get together afterwards and discuss.
So if you're watching this on YouTube, comment and let us know what you are looking forward to. Let us know any theories that you might have about what's going to happen next, about what something really means. Are Sousa and Peggy going to get together?
Yeah, if you have any questions that could lead us into more of a discussion that's still Agent Carter / Marvel related, we would be happy to incorporate that into the show.
So next week we are going to recap episode 1 of season 2 when it actually begins.
Yes.
If you want to know when that's coming out, go ahead and subscribe. There's a button somewhere around here.
I mean, floating in the
ether. Let us know what your thoughts are so we can all share and discuss together.
Yes. Subscribe, tell your friends. I'm looking forward to it. We'll see you after the first episode of Agent Carter Season 2.
Bye.
Bye.